These are the guys who landed on Omaha. And not all of the GIs in the back of that truck, that GMC you can see there, are going to be veterans of Omaha. A lot are going to be replacements by the very nature of the casualty list they wrapped up. But here they come with some light armour support. We've got an M5 light tank, and we've also got a Chappie. Now the Chappie, you'll notice, is painted up in British colours, which suggests that it's part of the 7th Armoured Division who used the Chappie as one of their reconnaissance vehicles, and it looks likely that they joined up with this 29th here to add a little bit of muscle to this particular branch of the sort of probing hand, if you like, that's moving in towards the centre of the fatherland. Now, everybody realises, hello, what's this? Some fire coming down. It looks as if, yes, no, that was a Panzerfaust. The Americans are running to a Kampfgruppe, a small group of Germans, an ad hoc group pulled together to defend the fatherland. They're laying down fire now, they're trying to damage that 29th convoy. As it stands, it's a pretty desperate stand from the Germans. I'm looking at them, they look like a small group of Panzer Grenadiers. They're outmanned and they're outgunned at the moment, but they're determined to hold that position. The American light tanks are flanking, laying down some fire there, the Chappie got a shot away. Yeah, the M5's fired. It's only a matter of time before the Germans have to pull back. So I'm going to show you, ladies and gentlemen, this will not be a rout, this will be a calculated withdrawal. They know this land, this is their land, they've spied this out already, they know where they can withdraw to. There's going to be no panic here. Many of the Allies, British and American, simply could not understand why the Germans just didn't give up. The war was over. Why are they still fighting? Why are people still dying? Now, here comes the 29th, they're putting in an infantry attack. We've got some smoke being put down there to mark the position of the friendly infantry. This is to avoid any problems with friendly fire. The tanks and the artillery know where the GIs are. Right, they're getting some more fire down, and it looks like that's it, yeah, the Panzer Grenadiers have decided that discretion is the better part of valor there, pointing out of their position. Look, they're still firing, look, they're not giving up easily, these guys. The Americans have seized position, and they're happy at the moment at least, just to dislodge the Germans, to move them away from their prepared position. Notice this look, the Germans are moving and covering and moving. The Chappie starts it, the Chappie is flushing them out. These Kampfgruppe were basically ad hoc units. They were thrown together from whatever there was available. These guys are Panzer Grenadiers. They might have been Hitler Youth. They might have been an anti-aircraft battery, pressing its 88s into anti-tank role. They may even have been people like Luftwaffe police. It was an ad hoc arrangement, but it worked remarkably well. And they were holding as best they could. They were making the Allies pay in blood for every metre of the fatherland that they took. And there were various reasons for that. Hitler had maintained this myth that somehow he could force the Western Allies to the negotiating table, and that then they, with the remains of the Wehrmacht, would turn east to defeat the real enemy, the Soviet Union. But I suspect we can see now one of the reasons why this particular Panzergruppe, Kampfgruppe, was so resilient, because they know that they have armour support. And here it comes. Again, it's a mixed unit. So we've got SDKFZ 222 light armoured car, first used in North Africa. You'll see photographs of Rommel standing at the top of one of these, doing all the groups. We've got Tiger 2, a King Tiger, Koenig Tiger, and backing up is an SDKFZ Handbag 251 armoured personnel carrier. And my goodness, the Spitfire, ladies and gentlemen. There she goes. A flyover now. That is going to rattle the Germans. They would have had one eye on the sky. They would have had one eye on the sky throughout this engagement, because the one thing the Allies have got is total air superiority. Now, they're lucky today. They are very lucky. That is a Type 19 Spitfire. It's a photo reconnaissance aircraft. He's coming around again for another look. Here he comes, still. Hear that griffin roar, ladies and gentlemen. That would still be enough, but they don't know it's a photo reconnaissance aircraft, I do. That will be reporting back so that we know what kind of position all along the line. They'll be checking on the degree of resistance at each point on the advance.
Oh, he's coming around.
And he's coming in again for another overflight. The fact that he hasn't engaged has emboldened the Germans a little bit. Had he been, should we say, a fighting Spitfire, the heaviest weapons he would have had would be a couple of 20mm cannons. Get away, everybody! Come back with some tight moves, silly chap. He can't do anything. He could have shot up the light armoured car had he had 20mm cannons he hasn't got. He's severely alarmed. He could not have affected this enormous King Tiger. But it's fear of Allied air superiority which haunts the Germans. Hence, you'll notice the camouflage of the light armoured vehicles. That's primarily to protect them from above. The German soldiers, the Wehrmacht, had a rather dark, ironic little joke they would tell each other. If you look up in the sky and you see an aeroplane and it's brown, it's a British aeroplane. If you look up in the sky and you see an aeroplane and it's silver, it's an American aeroplane. If you look up in the sky and you see an aeroplane and it's not there, it's a German aeroplane. So they had this very kind of ironic view. From their point of view, it meant that they were in constant threat of these, not so much the reconnaissance Spitfire gave them a fright, he was unable to engage them. They were more concerned with the J-boats, the Jaeger bombers, the fighter bombers, the British Typhoons, the American Thunderbolts. The British Typhoon pilot wrote in his memoirs that under his wings he had the same firepower as a broadside of a light cruiser. So even our King Tiger tank here would be severely rattled by that kind of firepower. There is nothing much that the American light armour can do against that Tiger. In fact, you'll notice they're taking cover. They will be very brave even to show themselves. They can engage the 222 armoured 20mm cannon. They can engage the 251 at the back there, which is mounting a couple of heavy machine guns, the MT-34 and MT-42. They are impressive weapons. They can throw out about 1,200 rounds a minute. But we've got to a stage in the war where that is not necessarily an advantage. If you're firing 1,200 rounds a minute, you're going to run out of ammunition pretty quickly. You need resupply. It's going to be difficult if you can't move anything. Most of the German forces were supplied by horse-drawn transport. Again, if you look at the accounts of the Falaise pocket, where basically the Wehrmacht in the west was broken after D-Day, time and again the veterans talk about the numbers of dead horses there were there in the fields and the lanes there, the bocage. Now at the moment, the Germans are dominating the battlefield. The American light armour has withdrawn. Almost certainly, they're on the radio. Fighter bombers, we need fighter bombers in. These are Americans, they're going to be wanting thunderbolts. Get some thunderbolts up here quickly. So for the moment, the American advance has been halted. Now why don't these young Germans simply give in? Why don't they just accept what's going on? Well, there are a variety of reasons. Some of them might be into the youth inculcated with the philosophy of Nazism. Some of them may be afraid. They see the bodies hanging from telegraph poles with the signs around their necks saying this coward refused to fight for the fatherland. SS death squads are groping behind the line. They won't do what soldiers normally do, fighting for the bloke next to them. Come across that again and again.
Oh yeah.
Now the Germans at the moment have halted the advance, but the 29th aren't giving up. They did give up on Omaha Beach. They did give up in the Battle of the Hedgerows, Bocage, the Siege of Cherbourg, Mortain. They fought their way through Normandy. Now they're fighting their way into Germany. As I said, some of these young guys here are going to be replacements. Some of them will carry the memory of that campaign with them. They are not going to be very forgiving when it comes to taking prisoners at this stage of the war, I suspect. King Tigers moving to this way to dominate the battlefield. Basically, we're going to need some kind of armour support to come in if the 29th are going to make a successful attack and break this little bit of stalemate. There we are, the Panzer Grenadiers are debussing, as we say today, from their 251. I was right in my assumption they were Panzer Grenadiers. They've got more sophisticated uniforms, they've got the camouflage swap of the Panzer Grenadiers, but in particular, they've got armoured transport. Most Wehrmacht soldiers wore the kind of 19th century field grey uniform that the standard German soldiers did, and they walked into combat. These guys are the elite. They're not going to give up. It's really not going to dominate them now. Here they go. Don't give away. Come on, that. Germans here are using the MP40 submachine pistol. That was not as widely available to the standard Wehrmacht soldier at this stage in the war as it would have been. I can see at least one Russian pistol in there as well, which has been looted. What? 29. They've got far more automatic firepower here. They've got Thompsons, they've got a BAR, Brand automatic rifle. And the idea is to lay down as much fire as you can. Now you'll notice part of the 29 has broken off. The Americans have this maxim. Find them, fix them, flank them, finish them. Well, they found them, or rather they blundered into them. Now the task is to fix them until such a time as they can flank the German position. And then, with a bit of luck, they can finish them. But I suspect they're going to need some heavy support in order to deal with that German armour there. Now the Panzer Grenadiers, they realise they've been flanked. They're withdrawing again. These guys are not panicking. This is not around. They know they're found. They know there's a village down here which they can occupy. Buildings are very difficult to clear. There we go. We've got the 222 firing on what looks like some heavy support. It's then for A1 coming in Sherman. Now that in and of itself isn't going to change the game too much. We have got, here we are, an M4A276, that flight velocity 76 millimeter gun, has got more of a chance against the armour of the King Tiger as long as he finishes spots. This is very finely in the balance, ladies and gentlemen. We've got significant cloud cover, that photo reconnaissance Spitfire managed it, but I've got a feeling that we have to do this without the intervention of the JBOs, the fighter bombers. A lot of fire going down now. There are 2 V2s moving. That can hurt these GIs in the open. They need to be careful. At the moment, this has become a peerless standoff between the armour and a serious firefight between the infantry. That's a good lead by Watford, but they're not giving up. King Tiger's tracking the M4A2 and just not letting around from that long 88mm. That will penetrate anything the Allies have got at just about any viable range. Now we can see, yes, the light Allied armour's coming in to add its support. So the King Tiger is being bracketed now. We've got 2 Shermans, we've got a couple of 75 on the Chatley, we've got 37 coming in on the M4. A lot is going to depend on whether or not the Americans can gain dominance on this battlefield. It's still an even balance. There is a slender chance that the crew on that King Tiger are inexperienced. By this stage in the war, a lot of the experienced tankies, the guys who've gone into France, even the guys who've gone into Russia, have gone, hello, incoming fire. Right, they're breaking the... Wow, every single... My goodness. King Tiger's been hit from every direction. It may not have been brewed. 2.1 to be brewed. If they not have been brewed, but that crew is going to be at best severely rattled, at worst injured by the incoming fire. It's really nice for now, the planting on the village. This is it. Going in grenades, submachine guns, and there we are, ladies and gentlemen. The Magic Grenadiers at last decided that this is an impossible battle to win. There's a white flag being shown there. Again, we have coloured smoke being laid down to mark the position of friendly forces. That could well have added to the lack of morale, or the collapse of the morale of the Panzer Grenadiers. They may well have thought that smoke was to mark them as a target for aerial attack. So, one way or another, they've decided now is the time to give in. They'll be searched for any useful intel and then shipped backwards to a holding cage back behind the Allied lines. Some of those young Germans will be resentful. There's evidence that some of them, for instance, refused to accept medical assistance when they were captured, believing that they were going to be poisoned, for instance, by the Allies. Others will be just grateful that it's all over. Give me a cigarette, Abby. For me, the war is over. There you can see 29th year loading up on the GMC, the lorry there. During World War II, the Americans produced very nearly 500,000 GMC lorries. regime collapsed. The money poured into projects like the King Tiger could better have been spent on things like the Sturm assault guns to defend the fatherland. It could have been spent on interceptors like the Focke-Wulf 190 interceptor to shoot down the bombers that are consistently flying over Berlin. The British by day, the Americans by night. Sorry, British by night, the Americans by day. But it wasn't. It was poured into almost prestige projects like the King Tiger and the so-called Pendants weapons, the ones weapons with the Waffen. So the German vehicles are leaving the field, the American vehicles forming up. Well, I say American vehicles, there's at least one Canadian in that GMC. By the way, while we're waiting for the form up, if you look at the GMC lorry there, it is the famous Duck, the amphibian. It's basically that lorry with a boat hull on it. So here we go. A bit of a victory parade, there we go. Thank you for that one, Havoc. It's forming up now. A bit of a victory parade to, oh well done, yes, give a round of applause by all means. In fact, I tell you what, let's give a round of applause to History in the Making, right? Hamish's group who've given us such an insight into that dramatic time at the end of World War II. So well done, guys. Well done. Thank you. I appreciate that very much. But let's also think just for a moment about those young men who would have been in those lorries and tanks back in 1945. They were fighting, well in fact the Americans call it the Great Generation. They were fighting for the freedom, not only of themselves. Many of those Americans would have realised the chances of the Germans invading America were minimal. It wasn't going to happen. They were fighting for the freedom, not just themselves, but the people they would never meet, in places they would probably never go to. And it's worth remembering that, because an awful lot of them made the absolute sacrifice. There they go. Well done, guys. There's the M5. Chappie. There goes Fury. Here comes Alec, the A1. The old Jeep there, the Constantine. And the Deuce and a half, the GMC truck. Just think back there, you see imagine you just smoke the shutters open on your French or Dutch or Belgian farmhouse and you see that convoy go past. 4 years occupation under the jackboot of the Nazis, and these guys come and set you free, and that's definitely worth celebrating. Thank you for your time and your attention, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a pleasure. We've got more to come. Bye-bye.
Big round of applause for Tim Brawl, one of the volunteers here at the Tank Museum, playing with the tank. And if you'd like to find out more about